You are listening to an interview with clinical hypnotherapist Dr. Steve G. Jones. For a free hypnosis download, please visit stevegjones.com.
This guy is always good to have on the show. Steve G. Jones, welcome back, my friend.
Well, thanks, Bert. Thanks for having me back.
You bet, man. And it's good to have you here. And, it's interesting because we are now, 6 weeks into the new year?
That sounds right.
Yeah, about 6 weeks into the new year. And statistically, like 90% of, of resolutions have bit the dust.
Yep.
And why do you think that is? What is happening to us that we can't even commit for 6 weeks?
Well, I think people think that they should make a change, and they look at the year and they think, wow, I could have done things a little differently. I could have done things better. I could have manifested this or changed that. And I think, okay, January 1st, that's my date to quit all this bad stuff and start all this good stuff. And it's just so arbitrary and really has no actual meaning or momentum behind it, that the sustainability part is just missing. So it's like I was telling a good friend of mine recently. He goes on these yo-yo diets. He'll gain a bunch of weight, then he'll start working out really hard and, post it on Facebook. Look, I'm at the gym. And then he'll stop working out, and then he'll, eat a bunch of high-carb foods for a while and not work out. I said, look, here's what you need to do. You need to not get all excited when you go to the gym. You need to just make it part of your life. It shouldn't be an event. It should be part of your life, just like shaving in the morning. And it needs to be something that's not a super duper workout, because I worked out with him one of these times when he was in one of these moods, and we were both sore for about 2 weeks, and I could barely move my arms because the intensity is so high during that time. I must work out. And then he's not able to work out for a while. So it's all about sustainability and picking something that fits into your lifestyle, that makes sense for you, and having good reasons why you're doing it and a good ongoing support plan.
Well, I want to emphasize something that you said that caught my attention, and that is I'm supposed to make a resolution. I'm supposed to want to make a change. I'm supposed to want to lose weight. And maybe that's not really what you're supposed to do. As you said, you have to have good reasons for that, for losing weight, gaining weight, having more money. And just because everybody else is doing that, maybe you shouldn't do it. Maybe you need to just kind of tune all that noise out and decide, okay, what's really important to me? And as you said, fit it into my life. How can I want to maybe go, take a really nice vacation or climb some whatever mountain. And, that's probably kind of be an odd thing. A lot of people wouldn't put that on a list of things to do. And then, you start building a plan around that. Like you said, okay, so how do I sustain this? How do I get around people who also like to climb? And you maybe join a climbing club or, some group online and stuff like that. And you start hanging around these people and you get that climbing mindset. But this is something that, that you want to do for the reasons that you think are important. And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks.
Absolutely. Yeah, something that, exactly. And climbing is a great example of something that, I was asked if I wanted to go climb, I think it was Mount Kilimanjaro, which I really actually don't know. As a good American, I don't really know where that is. But I was invited to go climb it. And I was walking around with this person. We were walking for a few miles in Nevada talking about it, and my feet started to hurt. And I said, I don't think I'll be doing that. And the fact is, I was born with club feet, and I had an operation on my Achilles tendons when I was a baby. And so my feet are not really designed for super duper endurance. So for me, I could look at that and say, that's nice. I'd feel really good, and it'd be a very ego-driven type achievement for me, but it's not for me. It's really not a good idea for me. I can quote unquote prove myself or explore the world in different ways that are good for me. So yeah, you have to use some logic. You have to use analysis. You have to figure out what's right for you, what's not right for you. And when we talk about things like stopping weight gain or actually losing weight or building muscle or stopping smoking or any of these things that we want to clean up, it has to be a plan that's really well thought out and is really going to work. And for example, I started recently. It has nothing to do with New Year's. It's just the culmination of me getting the experts together happened right around New Year's, but I've been working on it for quite a while. Getting a dietitian, getting a fitness expert to train me, to teach me certain things. I've already been working on it on my own for a while, but these are things that are well thought out, and they're not things that hinder my life. In fact, with a dietitian, the food she's got me eating, I'm more full than I was when I was eating not great food. So it's actually an enhancement.
No, it's interesting. Yeah. Well, you know what, and I'm glad you brought that up. Sometimes the food that we eat don't, satisfy us, right? And therefore we're hungry. You know, people make fun of, you eat Chinese food now and you're hungry like 30 minutes later or something like that.
Yep.
But there are some foods that really do behave that way because your body can consume it so quickly as opposed to, a green leafy type of salad. It takes the body a long time to break that down, and so you're not hungry for a longer period of time. But something some sweet, delicious, sugary bread, straight out of the oven, your body will eat that, consume that immediately, and you'll be hungry very quickly, and probably have a hankering for more bread. And it's a sure sign, or a sure way to gain weight is eating a bunch of these sugary carbs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the closer it is to a sugar already, the faster it's going to be broken down, and the more of that you eat, the more fat is going to be stored. So, yeah, it's any carb can potentially go toward fat storage. But these are things that I learned recently from my dietitian, which I already knew, but I needed to be reminded of them. So, yes. It's amazing the little changes. That's one thing that I've been fascinated by. When working with the dietitian and working with the personal trainer, I've been working out for years, and I've been watching what I eat for years. But the little tweaks that they help me make that I actually already knew about because I've put them into my programs, but I was ignoring them for myself. The little tweaks are so simple. It's amazing how sometimes you make a change that's so simple in your life, just doing one thing differently, substituting protein for a carb, for example, something very easy to do in a meal. And it makes a huge difference. You can lose a lot more weight and build a lot more muscle with that one simple move. So when we think about these big changes we want to make for the New Year's resolutions dying out and losing steam, like we talked about at the top of the interview, it's a matter of realizing that these don't have to be big, mind-blowing changes. Usually they're very, very simple changes.
You are listening to an interview with clinical hypnotherapist Dr. Steve G. Jones. For a free hypnosis download, please visit stevegjones.com.
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up because we always think of making these drastic, big things, big changes. In reality, what's the old saying? You got to crawl before you can walk, and you got to walk before you can run. And so it's making these little changes. I remember years ago, I enlisted the help of a coach, and her first objective for me was to shine the very tips of my shoes, of my dress shoes, not the entire shoe, but just the tips.
Yep.
And of course, I said, okay, I do it, and because I'm this huge overachiever, I said, I'm just going to get the whole thing done. And so the lesson was that sometimes doing a little bit can make a big difference, and sometimes just getting started will give us enough motivation to go more, to do more. It's not like you have to, set out this massive goal, especially one that you've never done. But to do this little stuff, and we know that, we all know this, but we forget. We'd like to be reminded that inch by inch, it's a cinch. Yard by yard, it's really hard.
I like that. I like that a lot. And you think about it, these days, of course, I've been on the Millionaire Matchmaker TV show, and I've been in Forbes, written up as a millionaire, and Bravo's Below Deck as a millionaire. So people look at that and they think, I'd like to be a millionaire. And so I offer a lot of help for that. People getting their thoughts together, getting their positive thoughts, and really finding something they love to do. But the fascinating thing about becoming wealthy is it's kind of like losing weight. By saving a little bit of money every month and investing it in something that's relatively safe and is going to, pay a dividend and compound over time, you can become a millionaire. And I think people are really shocked when they find it, because we see all these reality shows saying, oh yeah, you can have this lavish lifestyle, and they think, wow, what can I do to get a windfall of money? Or you can look sexy. Wow, what can I do to lose a ton of weight in a month? Well, these things are easy to do as long as you make simple changes. So becoming a millionaire is easy. You start saving money early as possible, and you put it into something that's going to earn a good dividend, a good return, is going to grow over time. Losing weight is easy. You just start making changes in your diet, and you stick to that. So I think we've been sold on this idea that these things are only available to a select few, and they're very difficult, and we should achieve them as quickly as possible, when actually if people who achieve things quickly, like getting a lot of money in the lottery, for example, they usually don't know what to do with it because they don't have the underpinning, the skills to do what they're supposed to do with the money, or even the respect for the money, so they end up squandering it.
Absolutely. And I want to point this out. Look, everybody has an incubation period, right? And an overnight success takes about, 15, 20 years. I mean, look at all the stuff that you've done. You've written 22 books. That didn't happen in 22 months or in 22 weeks or in 22 days. How long did it take you to write 22 books?
That took about 22 years, actually.
Well, so a lot of people will look and say, hey, I want to do that. I want to do what Dr. Steve G. Jones did. I want to write 22 books. Oh man, this is really hard. Oh, this is much. It takes a lot longer time than I thought. Yep. And going back to what you said earlier, they don't have the right reasons. They want to do it because they want to be like you, but they don't really. They're not doing it because they love their audience or they love the niche that they're in or they, whatever. And so you have to be willing to put in the time to become a millionaire. You have to be willing to put in the time to become a best-selling author. You have to be willing to put in the time to achieve whatever XYZ is for you. And I like what you said there. Becoming a millionaire is easy. Here are the steps. You start saving money, you start investing money, and slowly over time you do that. Here's something I've noticed that I have met more people who rent limousines and exotic cars who work for a living than millionaires that rent limousines and exotic cars.
Yep. And
I found that to be interesting. Back to what you're saying, it's here are these people who want to look successful but don't have the skills, the underpinning skills to respect the money and to make the money. They want the flash in the pan. They just don't know how to make that sustaining burn, and so therefore they're squandering the money. So they spend $1,000 and they rent this really nice car. That's great, or $500, whatever it is, as opposed to taking that $500 or that $1,000, you invest it, and all of a sudden that money doubles or triples, or you rent it, and then you put it into a real estate deal or something that eventually makes you real money. Because once you start respecting your money, you're less likely to squander it on these flashy little things that don't matter.
Absolutely. I remember being part of a network, what do they call it, multi-level marketing company in the 1980s.
Yes.
And I won't say which one because what I'm about to say is not the most positive thing, but they were encouraging everyone to, to stay in a 5-star hotel. and to spend as much money as they could to get themselves accustomed to these things. Well, it's interesting if you read, and you probably have, Bert, read The Millionaire Next Door, the book.
Yes.
And it's interesting. What they did is this is about 1996, so this is about 20 years ago. But the idea still holds true that millionaires tend to not waste money. They can stay in a 5-star hotel, but that's not the goal in their lives. They realize that money can compound and can make more money. And so they tend to be responsible with the money. And in the book, they had set out this platter for these people who are decamillionaires, meaning they have at least $10 million. And they had set out caviar and Perrier and, things they thought the decamillionaires would like. They have at least $10 million to their name. They didn't want that. They wanted Schlitz beer, and they wanted crackers. They weren't squandering. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with spending money, and there's nothing wrong with having nice things and feeling good. And we all do it from time to time. I certainly do it. But the idea that you have to keep up with the Joneses, as they say, and do that stuff all the time. If you don't have the money, that doesn't make any sense. If you don't have the money, then what you need to do is let your money work for you and not throw it away.
Absolutely. I was talking about this the other day. One of the other things that has become very popular now is to buy followers. So you can go to Fiverr, and there's a couple other companies. I'm just picking Fiverr because I've seen it there several times. But you can buy followers. So that way you blow up your Twitter profile or your your Facebook, and you have all these people who like you, and look how popular, and look at all the social proof I have. I have tens of thousands of followers. I'm so special. Well, the problem with that is that, again, it's not only is that fake, you're out of integrity, but that nobody's liking your stuff because you don't have any real followers. You don't have a connection with that audience, and therefore, sooner or later, it doesn't mean anything, as opposed to going back to what we were talking about earlier, where you put in the work and you write the books and you put out the content to create the followers, to create the money, to create the lifestyle that you want. Shortcuts are seldom, they do not give you permanent or real solutions.
Right.
The only shortcut that I know that really works is just putting in the time. It's hard work.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's hard work for a reason. That's it.
I agree. And I know someone like that. It's a lady who has a kid who wants to be the next Justin Bieber. And suddenly they had, I think it was Instagram, he went from 0 followers to I think it was like 10,000 followers in a weekend. And I said, I haven't talked to anyone who knows your son. I don't really think he's got a following in the world. And he hasn't done anything. He's still taking singing lessons. So I think there was some falsification going on there. But the thing that sticks with me is something, and I forget who it was. It was a seminar I took when I lived in Los Angeles around the year 2000. And the lady said, if you want to be great, first be good. And what I took away from that is, if you want to be this great, wonderful, well-known, famous person, then you've got to do some good in the world. You've got to make a contribution. You've got to do something that's contributing to the world first.
Yes, well, you hit the nail right on the head. You have to be good. There is no shortcut, no substitution for being good. Listen, if you don't have a following, you simply haven't put out enough good content.
Yep.
If you don't have the money that you want, again, you're just not working hard enough. You're not putting out enough value. Dr. Jones, we're out of time, but it's always good to have you on the show. Looking forward to having you back again. And, man, it was a lot of fun having you on today.
Well, thanks, Bert. Thanks for having me.
You are listening to an interview with clinical hypnotherapist Dr. Steve G. Jones. For a free hypnosis download, please visit stevegjones.com.